Simple Tales presents Rapunzel from the Brothers Grimm. Long ago, on the edge of a deep forest, there stood a small house beside a high stone wall. Beyond that wall stretched the most beautiful garden anyone had ever seen. Flowers bloomed in every season. Herbs filled the air with sweet fragrance. And among the green leaves grew a plant called rampion, known in old German tales as Rapunzel. The garden belonged to a powerful sorceress named Dame Gothel. People whispered about her in fearful voices. No one dared enter her land. No one dared steal from her garden. Yet sometimes, desperation makes people forget fear. In the little house beside the wall lived a husband and wife who longed for a child. At last, their wish came true. The wife became pregnant. But as the months passed, she noticed the rampion growing beyond the wall. Every day she stared at it from her window. Every day her craving grew stronger. Soon she could think of nothing else. Her cheeks became pale. Her strength faded. "I must have some of that rampion," she told her husband. "If I cannot taste it, I fear I shall die." The husband loved his wife dearly. One evening, after darkness covered the garden, he climbed the wall and gathered a handful of the plants. His wife ate them eagerly, but the craving only grew worse. The next night he returned. This time he was caught. Dame Gothel emerged from the shadows. Her eyes blazed with anger. "How dare you steal from my garden?" The terrified man fell to his knees and begged for mercy. When he explained why he had come, the sorceress listened silently. At last she spoke. "You may take as much rampion as you wish." Relief flooded through him. Then she finished her bargain. "But when your child is born, the child will belong to me." The man was horrified, yet fear overcame reason, and so he agreed. Months later, a daughter was born. Almost immediately, Dame Gothel arrived. She took the child, and she named her Rapunzel. Years passed. Rapunzel grew into a bright and beautiful young woman. Her golden hair shone like sunlight. Her voice was clear and lovely. Yet she knew little of the world. Dame Gothel kept her hidden from everyone. When Rapunzel reached her 12th year, the sorceress made a decision. She feared the girl was growing too beautiful, too independent, too curious. So she carried Rapunzel deep into the forest. There stood a tower. It had no door, no staircase, only a single window near the top. There, Dame Gothel imprisoned her. Days became months, months became years. Rapunzel watched the seasons change through her tiny window. Spring flowers appeared and vanished. Summer sunlight came and went. Leaves turned gold. Snow fell. Still she remained alone. The only visitor was Dame Gothel. Whenever the sorceress wished to enter, she stood below and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would unfasten her long golden braid and lower it from the window. Then Dame Gothel would climb into the tower. So the years passed until one afternoon changed everything. A young prince was riding through the forest when he heard a song. He stopped immediately. The voice was unlike anything he had ever heard. Beautiful, lonely, filled with longing. The prince followed the sound through the trees. At last he discovered the hidden tower. Yet no door existed. No path led inside. Confused, he waited and watched. As evening approached, Dame Gothel appeared. He listened as she called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." To his astonishment, a golden braid fell from the window. The sorceress climbed upward. Now the prince knew the secret. The next day he returned. When the forest was quiet, he stepped beneath the tower and called the same words. Moments later, the braid descended. With a racing heart, he climbed. Rapunzel gasped when she saw him. Never before had she seen another person her own age. At first, she was frightened. Then they spoke, and spoke, and spoke. The prince told her about rivers, cities, mountains, and distant lands. Rapunzel listened in wonder. For the first time in her life, she glimpsed a world beyond the tower. The prince returned often. Friendship became affection. Affection became love. Together they dreamed of freedom. Together they planned an escape. But secrets rarely remain hidden forever. One day, Rapunzel innocently said, "Dame Gothel, why are you so much heavier than the prince when you climb my hair?" The moment the words left her mouth, she realized her mistake. Gothel's face darkened with fury. The sorceress seized Rapunzel's golden hair. With a single stroke, she cut it off. Years of captivity, years of growth, gone in an instant. Then she banished Rapunzel into a lonely wilderness, far from the tower, far from everyone she loved. When the prince returned that evening, Gothel was waiting. Using Rapunzel's severed hair, she lured him upward. When he entered the tower, the sorceress laughed. "Your little bird is gone." The prince rushed to the window. Below lay only darkness. In despair, he leapt. Thorns broke his fall, but they pierced his eyes. When he rose again, he was blind. For years he wandered, across forests, across mountains, across empty plains. Blind and alone. Meanwhile, Rapunzel endured hardships of her own. She struggled to survive in the wilderness, yet she never surrendered hope. Neither forgot the other, neither stopped longing. At last, after many years, the prince heard a familiar sound, a song, soft and beautiful. The same voice he had followed long ago through the forest. Hope surged through him. He followed the sound, and there she stood, Rapunzel. For a moment neither spoke. The years of suffering seemed to disappear. Then they embraced. Tears streamed down Rapunzel's face. As they fell upon the prince's eyes, a miracle occurred. His sight returned. He looked upon her face once more. Not as a prisoner in a tower, not as a dream beyond reach, but as the woman who had endured every hardship beside him, though they had been miles apart. Together, they left the wilderness behind. Together, they built a new life, one chosen freely. A life no sorceress could control, a life no tower could contain. The story of Rapunzel reminds us that love is not possession. It cannot be locked away. It cannot be hidden behind walls. Like a growing tree reaching toward the sun, every person must eventually seek their own path. Freedom often comes with hardship. Growth often comes with pain. Yet, the life we choose for ourselves is worth more than the safety of any prison. Thank you for listening to Simple Tales. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more legends, myths, and folk tales from around the world. Until next time, remember, no tower is stronger than the human desire to reach beyond it.